Yo, what's going on, guys? It is your boy Mythic and Mike bringing you guys a collab video. It has been so long since we've
Yeah.
finally hopped on. We're back, man. How are you doing? It has been a minute since we chopped it up in general. How's the family? How's life going? And what are your thoughts on the Cardinals?
Well, life is good. Bundled up. I'm cold. It's football weather now. Finally, I'm excited. Things are very, very good for my family and my personal life. But man, how about them Cardinals, man? We're still at the top of the division. Getting done with our bye week. I'm super, super excited to obviously deep dive into this game or this just the Cardinals in general. But things are good. Things are very, very good. I'm glad we finally got a chance to collaborate because it has been a while.
It has. It has been so long. But let's go ahead and talk about the Cardinals, man. Top of the division with a 6-4 record. Who would have thought we'd be here after starting 1-3? It's kind of crazy because it
Yeah.
is insanely tight right now. We got 6-4 and then 5-5, 5-5, 5-5. How are you feeling right now?
Uh, I mean, pretty good, pretty good. I mean, it's so weird to be here because when you do start 1-3, especially after that loss against, all of the Commanders and the Cliff Kingsbury, I felt like that was such a gut punch that after that game, there was so much people talking about, including myself, right? Like what is the future going to look like for this team? Because like we're not used to this organization bouncing back, right? We're almost kind of, if we don't start off hot, usually we don't do very well in the second half. But like, man, kudos to this regime and kudos to Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray and everybody that's taken not I guess I'm not saying criticism, but like that you can get better and that you can recover, right? Like the thought and the culture of just keep going. Just keep going. You can find a path. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and they did it, man. They did it. It's so weird. I'm not used to this as a Cardinal fan, but hey, I'm for it. Jonathan Gannon and what he's building with this Arizona Cardinals organization, and Monty also for it too. It's amazing thing to see. I'm all for it. I love it. I love the fact that we were sitting in the bye week and we weren't really stressed. We were just seeing NFC West football and seeing how they go ahead and decide everything. But I love it.
It's so nice, like sitting back, enjoying it, enjoying the weekend, not stressing about where your
Yeah,
team's gonna go.
yeah.
It was so nice. Like this Sunday compared to every other Sunday, it's just I haven't been able to watch stress-free football in forever.
It's been a
It feels
bit.
like
It's
it's
been
been
a
a
bit.
hot minute.
Yeah.
But to answer your thing, like it is so nice to see the bounce back too, because it seems like in previous years, especially with Cliff, I mean, we might be seeing the same thing with Commanders fans right now. So if you're a Commanders fan, brace yourself because it might be another Cliff Kingsbury disaster
Uh,
class second half. Like it is crazy to see the bounce back from 1-3, and you see all this adversity. Like I thought Kyler Murray was playing well. We've chopped it up a couple times.
mhm.
Like my stance on Kyler Murray is he was playing great. Like that Washington Commanders game was like the outlier. The Green Bay game was just disaster from offense, defense, just everything. But outside of that, we've seen a lot of structured offense from Kyler Murray this year. A lot of like just nail on the hammer, just like I'm going to do this. I'm playing within structure. I'm missing a couple throws here and there, but he's tightened that up. And I think a lot of that has to do with the footwork, playing under center. I think he was a little off timing, but he's kind of getting that down. And something I think is really beneficial is Drew Petzing is calling his butt off. I
Yeah.
think I was I'm going to be so honest right here. I was calling for it. Like I was like,
Yeah.
hey, Drew Petzing's job. Like I was definitely at the top waving for it. Like, hey, if he has a bad game right here, like he needs to be on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat now in my eyes. Like we need to wave the flag. Drew Petzing, I apologize. I apologize firsthand. That's my fault. And then Kelvin Beachum, I also talk crap on him.
Yeah.
Completely wrong. He has not allowed a single sack, I believe, or a single pressure since like week 2, I think. Like that Buffalo game was terrible for him. And then since then, he's been on his stuff. Like I got to apologize, man. There's a lot of people I've been wrong about. And it's crazy. Like just to see the bounce back from 1-3, the adversity and just like the way this team is battling, it's top tier. This is what we want. This is what we need. And this is the
Yeah.
crazy part is we are just in the beginning of the rebuild. We gutted our entire team last year and didn't really bring in much talent this year to change it. We just got
Yeah.
our franchise quarterback back. That's all that has changed.
Well,
Like real talk.
here's the thing too. I mean, when you're looking at this, the statistics from Kyler Murray, and I think there's a lot to people say if you look at the stats from Kyler Murray in the first 4 games or 5 games, he doesn't have badness going towards him. But the way he's playing now and following the stats, I feel like it's 9 day different. I think Kyler Murray in the beginning half of the season compared to now is night and day different. The stats follow suit, but if you're watching the game, I think that Kyler Murray is showing glimpses of MVP Kyler Murray back in 2021 within these 5-6 games sample size, or this last 5 or 6 games. In my personal opinion, Kyler Murray has looked confident. He's looked not scared to take off with the ball and run, and making those crucial throws to either Marv, Trey McBride. Keep hurdling, man. Okay, we'll talk about
Oh
Trey
man,
McBride later, but this guy is a
yes, we
freaking
will.
beast, a beast. But the rest, right? The decision making that's coming along with Kyler Murray and running this offense, and then obviously our running attack is that cherry on top of the ice cream. This is what you needed to see. And I remember hearing, Kyler Murray says, "I don't need to play Superman." You don't. You don't need to play Superman in this offense, and that's the truth. But the decision making, the footwork, that video came out here from Kurt Warner and saying it's easy to be fixed, right? Like he's doing a good job. It's just these little things, these little details that need to be kind of following through. Seems like Kyler Murray listened, or at least Drew Petzing brought it to his attention. And there's nobody shying away from getting 1% better every single day. Anybody, nobody has an ego, or at least what it seems like. Everybody's getting better every single day, and that's what I love. Kyler Murray right now is showing glimpses, or hell, 2021 Kyler Murray, and it's an amazing feeling because if he can get going, man, where this team can go, it's beyond me. But it gets us excited as a Cardinal fan base, because obviously we need him to stay healthy and continue to play like he's playing, because it's amazing.
It feels like everyone's bought in, especially Kyler. When you have your
Yeah,
franchise quarterback and the guy who is super locked in and needs to be locked in running the offense is dialed in and he respects the coaches. And that's something that I feel like you can see.
yeah,
Like the love that he has for Jonathan Gannon is like, it's not even close. It's night and day from Cliff Kingsbury. Like I
oh
feel
yeah,
like there was a respect there, but like obviously when things aren't going your way or things aren't going to work, I feel like there's a lot of just self implosion that was happening with Cliff Kingsbury, and Kyler Murray sensed that. So when you see like the pouting or you see the anger or you see just like the frustration like building up because like the offense isn't doing anything,
right,
it gets annoying at times. Like you got to
yeah,
understand that. Like this is an NFL player who knows the ceiling of this offense. He is DeAndre Hopkins. You got all these people out here, and the offense is falling flat on their face, and it was a continuous thing. And Kyler Murray for 3 years or 4 years with Cliff, he went through that cycle, and then they brought him back, and it was just another second half collapse. And then Kyler tore his ACL. Like it's just frustration after frustration. Now you brought this coach in who instilled the confidence in Kyler, but also demands the respect that you need as an NFL head coach. I don't think Cliff
yeah,
demanded that respect. And that's why he's an offensive coordinator now. And I think that is a lot better for him. But Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing, I feel like command respect. And same with Nick Rallis. He's doing so much with such little talent.
yeah.
Like he really is, if we're being honest right here. We have one of the like lowest payroll defenses in the entire NFL.
It's
All the
crazy.
free agent signings that we had went down with injuries.
Yeah,
Both defensive tackles out. BJ Ojolari, starting edge, out. And look at what the defense is doing right now. 3 games at home, no touchdowns. Garrett Williams is stepping up, which we can talk about him all day long.
oh
He is
yeah,
in my top. He's my third favorite Cardinal on the roster behind Kyler and Buda, which justifiably so. And Buda's at 100 tackles for a safety.
it's
The other 2
nuts.
people who have 100 tackles are linebackers. This is a third level player, and the instincts on Buda Baker, like we've always known that this man flies. You can just see he studies the crap out of film. He's on top of everything. He knows tendencies. He's able to blow plays up in the run game. One of the best safeties in the league right now. If we don't bring him back, I think there's going to be a riot from Arizona Cardinals fans everywhere, because this is a guy who embodies this culture, and he needs to be back on at least a 2 to 3 year deal, getting paid $10+ million.
Well, I
I
mean,
think that is
there
for
should be
sure the
there
deal
should
that
be a
needs to be
riot.
done.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a
Oh,
riot.
absolutely. Especially after this year. Like if the season went to garbage, like
Yeah,
and we're here with a 1-5 record, then he's someone you probably trade away and just try to capitalize on value. But this team is competitive. And if
yeah,
we can build talent on this defense, because the offense, I think we're fine. Like I genuinely think we're fine. Like potentially get a new slot receiver in here, maybe another outside, maybe just somebody along that line. But like offensively, I think we're fine. Potentially offensive lineman, depending on how Will Hernandez comes back.
true.
But man, get talent on this defense, especially on the D line, I think we're in a great spot. Because after watching the Chiefs night in and night out, every time I watch them, their front seven is just so elite with Chris Jones and everybody around him. Their linebackers are flying. If we can replicate anything like that, I like the way our secondary is shaping out, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, me
I think we're
too.
in a
Me
good
too.
spot.
Yeah.
I
Karloftis
think,
is another
oh,
good
yeah,
player for
George
them as well.
Karloftis is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Max Melton starting for Sean Murphy Bunting? Because
Oh
this is something I was
man.
calling for. I was calling for this 4 weeks ago. Like on
Yeah.
date, on record, 4 weeks ago. I am on this channel saying that Sean Murphy Bunting needs to be benched. And I was one of the people preaching that that was a good sign. Like I think he could get coached up because the main concern was holding calls. Like he was just too
Yeah.
handsy, too many holding calls. And it's still translating here. And it's very unfortunate because I thought Gannon and Nick Rallis would be able to coach him up a little bit and actually like revert him back to that player that he was in Tampa, which was a really, really good top 15, top 20
Yeah.
corner. But outside of that, in Tennessee, we're getting the signs of that, and it's just things aren't getting better. He's getting older, and you have this guy who you drafted who has come in here and has had some struggles, but he's young, and I would rather have him get the reps and go through the growing pains
Yep.
on a team where you're actually winning ball games. Like you got a chance to actually go out and get valuable reps. And he's done pretty decent outside of that Green Bay Packers game. He's getting
Yeah.
picked on, but he's been pretty good.
Yeah, no, no, I agree. With the whole Sean Murphy Bunting, getting benched. I agree with it. I understand why they are favoring him because obviously, free agent. You're paying him, and you need him to do the job that he's paid to do. I understand that, but I do think that it's time to start seeing Max Melton for sure. Because I would rather see him, learn from potentially getting burned, right? Because like when you're looking at a veteran and he's getting paid the way that he's getting paid, it's not like he's getting paid like crazy amount, but he is still getting paid more than most or everybody on this cornerback core right now. So you expect a level of you need to not allow these 3rd and 12s to get converted. And that's what we were seeing. We were seeing bonehead penalties. We were seeing the Arizona Cardinals defense give up 3rd-and-9s, 3rd-and-10s, 3rd-and-12s. And you look to see who that quarterback was. And most of the time, it probably was Sean Murphy Bunting, right? Getting burned. And it got to the point where it's time to scrap it. It's time to scrap it and make him a guy that's obviously a good depth. He's still a good depth piece, and it's not like he's like a big time liability. I guess compared to the other three, yeah, he is. But like
Yeah.
keep him there, right? Have him mentor these guys from the sideline. Hey, maybe you can do this, maybe you can do that, right? I understand you're paying him a good amount of money, but it's time to start seeing what Max Melton can do because he's a 2nd-round pick that he's shown good stuff so far. He's shown flashes of good intangibles. Does he get beat here and there? Yes, he does, but he's a rookie. It's a P2, Patrick Peterson used to get burnt a lot in his rookie year, and guess what? He blossomed to one of the best cornerbacks the Arizona Cardinals had, right? So is Garrett Williams looking pretty darn good. Starling Thomas the fifth. What an amazing pickup here from
Crazy.
crazy pickup here from Monty Ossenfort. And then of course drafting Max Melton. It's cherry on top of the ice cream, man. We can really have a good secondary. We're just trying to find the pieces here for obviously the D line. I'm pretty confident with our middle linebackers. I like Kazir, but he's also under contract as well. I like Mac Wilson Sr.,
Mac
but it's
Wilson's
just
tough.
yeah, that D line is where the most unknown is. Although we got some pieces. Hopefully, we see Darius Robinson coming up this coming week. Fingers crossed. But like, we still need to see some consistency there.
For sure. And I think if we can start getting the talent on the D line and the edge, things are going to shape out. Like if BJ Ojolari was healthy this year, I think we're looking at a way different season in terms of
Yeah,
edge production because Zaven Collins as a run support guy, or at least an edge setter, is not the worst. He just has
yeah,
no pass rushing skills. And not all the time do you have to be a pure pass rusher. But when you don't have one, that's when things get tricky. You know, you have no pressure, you're not able to generate much. And that's where the issue goes in. And especially when you're two defensive tackles that you just signed in free agency, which I wasn't a big fan of those moves, but
yeah,
I understand it because it raised the floor. And that's what I
yeah,
was saying. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. We saw what the defense can do. And then they're both on IR. And it's just like, well, that's fantastic. And then unfortunately, Darius Robinson's going through a lot right now with the calf injury. His mother just passed away. Rest in peace. But
right.
like, it's just a lot going on with him right now. And he's trying to get back on the field and rehab it. So hopefully we see him because I think we need to get those rookie reps out of the way. But that's going to be a good piece for us. And then
Absolutely.
defensively, I think we're going to be okay in the future because I think money will be spent, and that's kind of the motto and that's literally what I've been saying. I think we got the big money, $100+ million next year. That's what I was saying like 2 years ago. We were talking about this for a while, And with Max Melton, I hope they actually keep playing him because he is getting good reps. Just like when I said that Zach Ertz should have been benched for Trey McBride, and we both were
Mm.
on that.
Mhm.
So you got to get him the reps now, and you just got to admit your faults. Zach Ertz was brought back; it didn't work out. He was torn ACL, and then a lot of balls are going high. He didn't have the vertical leap. Doing
Yeah.
okay in Washington, but he just was not balling here. But if we can see that similar transition, I will be fine. But let's go ahead and talk about the offense. You mentioned a guy earlier. We're going to talk about two people, actually. Trey McBride,
Hmm.
James Conner. Outside of Kyler Murray, who I think has been our best offensive player so far, these two guys have been lights
Oh, yeah.
out. Trey McBride is legitimately a top 3 tight end, and James Conner is playing top 8 running back in the league this year.
Yeah.
I can't give these guys enough credit. Like, genuinely, I cannot. They are the focal points of this offense, and James Conner's up for a contract, but these guys are freaking killing it. How do you
Yeah.
feel about both of them and the way this offense is going?
Yeah, so let's start off with Trey McBride. Yeah, definitely top 3 for sure. And obviously just depends on if he continues to keep growing on the path of just these amazing highlight reels and amazing, being a good safety blanket here for Kyler Murray. And there's a big comfortability with Trey McBride with Kyler. You can even tell by just the way the game flow works, or just looking at the stats that I feel like that's his number one target, Trey McBride. And that's not a bad thing to have. It's because Trey McBride is a beast, man. We're starting to kind of see the rising starness of what he can become. Now, the crazy thing is that we look as Cardinal fans, right? When we had a 4-win season last year, we were talking about this as the Cardinals organization, the people that cover the team, where the other people outside only kind of caught on to Trey McBride maybe in the last 5 or 6 games because of fantasy purposes, right? And they started to see, oh man, this guy could be really, really good. He is. He is really good, and it's cool to see it because this is one of the best tight ends in forever since the Arizona Cardinals have. I guess a lot of people. Whenever I say that, people always want to bring up people that were like in the Cardinals like 1929 or like 1940 something. I'm talking about modern day, right? I'm talking about since like let's throw the 90s or early 2000s. Like this, I don't think you had ever a guy like Trey McBride, right? We try to bring in guys like Gresham, Troy Nicholas tried to be that
Charles
guy.
Clay, Darren
Yeah,
Fells.
you got those names out there that attempted to be what Trey McBride is, and his leaps and bounds. There's nobody like him that we've ever had on this roster or wearing an Arizona Cardinal uniform. So it's amazing. It's a good feeling. It's awesome. It's cool to see it. I think that might be my next jersey. I'm not gonna lie to you. Or actually, my jersey giveaway that was the one we gave away. Trey McBride. It's a hot commodity out there. People love to see it. We're not used to seeing a big man with the talent that he has. It's great. Now James Conner, on the other hand, the older he gets, the stronger he gets, and it's amazing to see James Conner do it. I'm so curious to figure out how this Arizona Cardinals organization is going to treat him. I would love to see him sign a contract. Obviously, nothing more than 3 years. Ideally 2
Oh,
years.
there we
But
go.
like,
I would go too.
yeah, the thing is that like, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me rephrase that back. Ideally, nothing more than 2 years. That's what I meant to
There we
say.
go.
3 years is I'm not touching 3 years. But like, it's also so tricky too because although that um he is the best running back we got, and he's very, very good. There's also the side of A, he's getting older, and B, there's injury concerns in the past years as well. So I would love to see a resurgence of Trey Benson, but if James Conner can continue to do what he's doing, obviously the rest of this year, maybe next year, but that's one of the big storylines that I'm really going to follow. What are the Cardinals going to do? I would love to bring him back, but also if they don't, I do see why they don't also too. I don't know. I'm curious. Do you think they will?
I mean, I hope so. I wouldn't do it past a 2-year deal. Maybe
Yeah.
like a 2-year, like 12 with an incentive boost to get him up to like 14, 15. You can't pay him big time. You really
Yeah.
can't. You can't pay him $8 to $10 million, even though he could command that somewhere else. I think he would sign that. Like, genuinely, I think he loves Arizona. He loves what this offense is, and he does embody the culture too. And he's one of those guys that are helping us get to the right direction. But you don't want to fall suit where it's like, hey, you got the young guy back here, and look at what the Lions did with Jamal Williams. Like, he looked like
Mm,
he was their culture,
true.
right? But like at the end of the day, they move forward. Now they got David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs. You don't want to miss that window and have Trey Benson and somebody else as your 1-2. Trey Benson's the future. We all know that. It's just a matter of time. But James Conner on like a 2-year deal where he takes the lead next year, maybe split carries, and then he falls back in that running back 2 when he's like 31. Wouldn't be opposed to that whatsoever. But at the end of the day, I do think his carries would be split. So I don't know how much they'd be willing to pay him. But I do think he does embody Arizona culture and what we need offensively. It's just at what price? You can't pay him too much. And that's
That's
just the genuine truth.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna come down to. Because I mean, right now he's having a very, very good season, very good season for the Cardinals. Almost 700 yards. I think he's averaging like 4.4 yards. It's got 5 touchdowns already. Obviously the workhorse for the Cardinals, but, like, if they do bring him back, like I said, I won't be mad at it. It's just I'm so curious because you're right. When you get older, you might have to split, right? Especially with Trey Benson coming in here, and that's what we're starting to see, especially these big powerhouse teams like Jahmyr Gibbs as well as David Montgomery. That's just a two-headed monster that nobody wants to deal with in the playoffs, right? And if the Cardinals can somehow find that, where you got your veteran and James Conner, and then you start to see Trey Benson, because what I've seen from Trey Benson in these most recent games, I really like. He was very hesitant in his first few games. It makes sense. He's a rookie. But give him more time. He's not going to get to the level that we want him to unless he actually gets that opportunity. So the Cardinals are going to have to ask themselves the question, right? Is James Conner going to accept that, right? That contract, and is he okay with splitting carries? He might be. I don't think he's a selfish guy. I think he definitely will. But it's just that's a big question out there if they're going to or not.
I mean, I'd even give him a 2-year contract and then front load it. Give him 10 million the first year and then maybe
True.
like 2.5 the next. You know what I mean?
True. Oh,
Go
I
ahead and
like that.
spend, pay all of that, and give him like a 10 million, and then 2.5 in the next one. Be like, hey, we don't know what the future's going to have, and then make sure it's potentially voidable too, just in case there's just not in the future.
So
But
you're
2.5
Yeah.
million, I would give him like a 2-year 12.5. I think that's pretty fair, and then front load it, or maybe like 2-year 13 million, where you give him 10 in the first and then like
He
3 in the second.
he's deserved it, honestly. He's definitely deserved it for sure. Um,
Give him financial security. He deserves that for sure, especially
yeah,
after this year. And if he doesn't get it here, he's going to get it somewhere else. So
yeah,
that's the truth. But I would
yeah,
love to have James Conner back. I think he embodies Arizona perfectly. He's out in every Arizona sports event. He's
yeah.
with Kyler Murray everywhere, and you could tell that this offense, especially if you watched Kyler's vlogs like at all or seen like clips of it,
Yeah, I haven't watched the last couple of them, but I have been watching a little bit. Yeah, yeah,
they're close. Like
yeah.
this offense is close. Like
It's
him, Trey
cool.
McBride, James Conner, the O line, like they're popping out to every like event. They love each other. Like that is something that you can also see too. It's not Kyler and a bunch of veteran guys that he has no connection with. Like I feel like
Yeah,
the guys in the past, it was hard to connect. These guys are a lot more closer to Kyler's age and willing to buy in. I think it's a lot easier to build connections with people who aren't like 10 plus years older than you. Like, let's
100%.
call it how it is. Like, Kyler Murray can ball out with Rodney Hudson, Zach Ertz, and DeAndre Hopkins. But, like, he can ball out with them, right? Because the talent on the
Yeah,
field is there. But, like, how much of an off field connection do you have? Because when you have the off field connection, your bond grows stronger
yeah,
and you play more together. That's just the truth. Like the New York Knicks, for example, like the Villanova boys, if they stay together, they're going to play together and they're going to be a lot more like fluid because of that off court relationship.
right.
And that's just the truth. If you have camaraderie and you have team chemistry, you're going to play better. It's like, hey, you got a 23-year-old quarterback with Larry Fitzgerald, who's 30, like 7 at the time, coming into the offense with DeAndre Hopkins, who's like 29, and the O-line, who's all old and veterans, and you're coming in here with a brand new head coach. And it's like, how do you take command of that? I don't think a lot of guys are comfortable with that off the
Yeah,
rip. So I kind of understand it as years go on. You're like, hey, I'm trying
yeah.
to command a grown ass man, telling him where to go. It's different. It is
It's
a different level of maturity that you got to have off the rip. And Kyler's kind of the lead by example. But
Yeah.
how do you lead by example when you have one of the greatest players of all time and just greatest respected veterans? And Larry wanted him to take the reins. He wanted to. He's like, hey, this is his team. But it's weird. Let's just call it how it is. It's weird.
Sometimes it takes a little bit, man. It is just personality. I don't think we've all when we drafted Kyler, there was a lot of those. I don't know if you remember, but all those negative reports that came out about his personality and not being coachable and stuff like that. And I don't know, there might have been some truth to it, but not to the point where you say, "Oh, he's not coachable." I just don't think I don't think people understood his personality. I think that's what it is, right? And so I'm in my 30s, you're in your 20s, right? So we do have a level of although there is some separation, there is differences as you grow up, right? There's differences as you grow up, the type of stuff that's going on, the things that make what you want to do hanging out with your friends, right? To me, what he was surrounded by, imagine a kid like you, right? When in 22, 23, right? Coming into a locker room where guys like me I'm married. I got kids, right?
Married with kids, and I'm
Yeah,
right here,
our
new off life.
conversations, although I'm a big sports fan, so I might be one of those guys that you could definitely, chop it up and have a good conversation with. A lot of people don't. A lot of people wanna go home and, chill with their wives, hang out with the family, and it's family time for them. So it is hard for a guy with a personality like Kyler Murray coming into a locker room and try to say, this and that, or try to command or command the whole locker room in general. You've seen a growth in his personality, and it might be the vlogs that are showing it a little bit more in terms of, hey, he could be fun, he could be a nice, happy, go going young kid. It's just we didn't see that, and I don't know sure if it's the vlogs or it's just he actually feels a lot more confident with people around his age. Regardless of what it is, we're starting to see it, and I love it. I'm 100% for it because you play for a guy that you love, you go 2 times harder, 3 times harder, especially, and I think
That's
Kyler feels the same
exactly.
way about Jonathan Gannon too.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I think the team camaraderie is at an all-time high, and it's such a culture shift from Cliff. So I'm a
Mm.
big fan of what's happening right now, and we're sitting here with the 6-4 record. I can't complain. But we have a huge division game coming up in Week 12 against the Seattle Seahawks, who just walked off with a game-winning touchdown. Ridiculous, because I thought that game was over, and then the
Yeah.
NFL just like panned over, and it's like, hey, here's Geno Smith,
Yeah.
game-winning touch. I'm like, oh my goodness. So of course, I don't even remember what game I was watching. Maybe it might have been Buffalo and Chiefs. I think that was the game I was tuned into, and then they panned over, and that was game-winning touchdown. Geno Smith flexing in the camera, and I'm like, oh my
We
god, like this is
we had
exactly what I needed.
literally, me and you were probably in the same boat. I was flipping back and forth in the game, but in my mind, I was like, "Oh, the 49ers got this," but I wanna keep track, obviously, it's our division, but my mind was mainly on Chiefs versus Bills. Like, that was where my mindset was, like, "Oh, this is such a good game." So I'm right there with you, man. I was like, "Damn, the Seahawks are gonna pull this off." Of course, I watched that last drive and, hey, man, Geno Magic. He pulled one out for us.
No complaints. That is exactly the outcome I wanted. If the Rams dropped it, would have been a perfect
Yeah.
freaking weekend. But here we are in a close division. How do you think the Seattle game pans out? That is going to be a heck of a matchup because Seattle's offense, especially the run game, does not really scare me. But Geno
Yeah.
Smith, I don't think Geno Smith is a great quarterback whatsoever. He has 11 touchdowns, 11 picks on the year. I just broke this down in a video, so you guys will probably see this like a day or two before this video even comes out. But Geno has like 2,700 yards, fourth in
Yeah.
the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
He's slinging it.
Yeah.
They can't score touchdowns. He's having a Jameis Winston kind of 30-30 going for 5,000. Like he might genuinely have a 2020 5,000 yard season on some Jameis Winston type stuff. How do you feel about this game? Where do you stand? Because the Seahawks defense is about middle of the pack, and their
Yeah.
offense, at least rushing wise, isn't great. But Geno Smith is airing that thing out. The
Yeah.
Cardinals defense has been on point, but it's such a tricky matchup. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, he's saying "F the stats," man. He's just letting it sling, and obviously there's good things that could come along with that. Obviously, is he still leading the NFL in passing yards? I know he was last week. I
I
mean,
think he's fourth.
oh,
He's
he's fourth.
fourth,
Okay,
but he has like almost a 70 completion percent as well. So like if it's not getting completed to his own guy, it's going into the hands of somebody else. Like
true,
the
true.
ball's finding somebody's hands.
So I don't know. This game is a tricky game. I mean, I was really hoping that we were gonna have one team dead in the water in this West, but leave it to the freaking 49ers to give life to the Rams and give life to the Seattle Seahawks that are all now 5-5 in the division. So I don't know. I think this game's gonna be very telling. I think we're gonna match up very well, but this is going to be a deciding factor as to like did the 49ers or did the Seahawks beat the 49ers because the 49ers are just like frauds, or are they that good, right? We don't 100% know, and I'm really excited about this game because, like, I don't know. I see the 49ers, and I did expect a lot more from them. I really did. I expected more, but when I see them play, when I get the opportunity to play, I don't think they're even like they're not. They don't have that dog mentality. Like they almost kind of seem like, oh, we need it. We're here because we're the 49ers. Like they're not fighting. They're not fighting. It's like the hunted become the hunted, right? Like they're not fighting with the eye of the tiger like they used to have. It's like Rocky, right? In Rocky 2, where he did so good to get to the level in Rocky 1, Rocky 2. I'm sorry, not Rocky 2, Rocky 3, where he was fighting Mr. T. He just doesn't have that. They don't have that heart anymore. Now, yes, they didn't have Kittle. Is CMC not 100%? Yeah, I guess you can throw all those excuses out there, but like these are games that you need to win. That San Francisco, that Seattle game was a game you needed to win because your stretch after this good luck. Good luck trying to get out of this with a respectable record. I probably have them still going within 500. They got another crucial game versus the Rams in 4 weeks from now, so they didn't put themselves in a good position at all. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see them. I don't think they have a very, very good win on their season so far. Like, truly, I don't think they have a valuable win in their season so far.
I mean, that's totally fair. The 49ers season is so weird because now
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk is out, who's their best receiver. Now I really
Yeah.
don't think they have a threat at the receiver where it's like that guy is going to go out and kill you. That was Brandon Ayuk when it comes into separation, route running, the
Yeah.
ability to catch the football. Brandon Ayuk is miles ahead of everything they have. I
Uh,
don't
Ju-
believe in Debo Samuel. Like,
Juwan
genuinely
Jennings is
don't.
pretty good when opportunity is given to him. He's actually pretty darn good, but Debo
That is true.
Samuel is not like he's not a wide receiver, man. He's a gadget player, which he can break a home run here and there. It's just if things aren't going the way they want them to go, and Kittle ain't out there, he almost kind of seems like he disappears.
That's what I'm saying. Jawan Jennings is cool, but
Mhm.
I
He's not
mean,
Ayuk. Yeah,
Brandon, he's not Ayuk,
yeah,
but and Juwan Jennings also thrived off having Brandon Ayuk on the
true,
field because that
true.
that is a lot of eyes on Brandon Ayuk and
Yep.
Debo Samuel. It's like they have a lot of weapons, but now McCaffrey's coming off an Achilles injury, which who knows if he's actually going to be able to be good for the rest of the season. Like that's an injury that took him 14 weeks, 15 weeks to come back from.
Yeah.
Like dating back to the offseason, like it's a tough injury. And then you have Brock Purdy playing his worst football so far. We'll take that. The defense, not the same. Like the 49ers lost Dre Greenlaw, and it looks like a complete different defense.
Yeah.
They're struggling.
It's
They're
wild.
struggling on every side of the ball. And who would have thought? Like, I didn't think McCaffrey was going to be out. So my prediction for them was 11 wins. But even if they didn't have McCaffrey, I'd still say they're probably winning 10. And right now, they have an even 5-5 record.
It's
It's
nuts.
crazy.
It I think Jesse, from Last Second Sports, and you know him too, I think he says, the race to 10 wins in this division, he says. I think that's gonna be the winner of the division, I don't know, I'm looking at the remaining of the schedule from a lot of these teams, and I don't see 10 wins, for the 49ers. For us, yes. For them, I don't see it. I really don't.
I can't either. And we're already at 6. So if we can win this next game, we would be 3-0 in the division, by the way.
Be
3-0
nuts.
with the win
Yeah,
against San Fran, against the Rams. So right now we're at least 1-0. We
yeah,
could tie it. But like if we can get the Seahawks and just pile on 1-1-1, we're in a good spot because that
yep,
would mean we won every game against a division opponent in the first half of the season. We just have to get one more and we're positive. We are positive.
it's
We'll take
crazy.
that. We need
It's
that. And
crazy.
if we can get to 10, which I think we should because we have some opponents that we should not lose to. And this Cardinals team is not the same Cardinals team. I don't think we're going to drop the games and play below. I felt like under Cliff, that was a huge problem. If we were matching up with Carolina or Detroit, who had one win, I
Mm,
wasn't confident. And you should
mm.
never have that. When we went up against Detroit with one win, I said we should have won that game, obviously, because you're just supposed to, because we're pretty healthy at the time. And
Yeah,
we dropped it to like the 1-11 Detroit Lions.
don't remind me.
Hurts your heart a little bit. And then
It does,
Carolina,
it
when they got
does.
Cam Newton come back, and that team was awful, Cam Newton came into Arizona doing the I'm back and we're just struggling. Like, I don't think we're going to have that. Like, I don't think we're going to drop the game to Carolina. Now, I could be wrong because Carolina owns us for whatever reason it
Yeah,
is. But, like, there's some games that we should not lose.
yeah.
So, if we're talking about the race to 10 wins and that's like a genuine statement that like holds true to the end of the year, there's no reason that shouldn't be us. Like, if I'm
100%
being
agree.
100% honest, there's no reason we should not finish at least 4-3 to end the year. At
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, I agree, and that will put us at 10 wins. Ding, 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 ding. Exactly.
And
It's
we
gonna be a tight
will.
race moving forward. It's just I'm for the ride. I'm excited. I'm just excited that we're talking about November football and then December football. Last year and the last couple of years, man, we were
Yes.
talking about the draft and free agency already. It's like by the time the draft came around, I think I was already doing mock draft 346. I'm just kidding. It was bad, man. It's bad.
That sounds about right, though. We're talking about Caleb Williams to Arizona last year.
Oh
Like,
god, oh, yeah.
it was crazy.
It
We're talking
was
about how we're supposed to
crazy.
have the first top 2 picks, and then the
Crazy
Houston
times.
Texans did what they did, and then it's like, hey, we're the team that actually sucks.
Crazy.
We're 6-4. How the times have changed. We might make the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. We
Yeah.
might be talking about January football.
Oh yeah. Give it to me. I
Talking
want
about
it.
January football. I need this. I
Me too.
freaking need it. We need the experience. Marvin Harrison needs to get in the playoffs. Kyler needs to get in the playoffs. This team needs to get veteran experience. They need to be able. I don't even care if we lose. Like, genuinely, I don't. As long as we're in, I'm happy. And that's a
Absolutely.
very, very trash mindset. But If we can just get in, I'll be happy. I'll be
That's fair.
complacent. I'll call it how it is. But with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video, Mike. Appreciate you for hopping on. Where can they find you? Plug all the socials.
Everything AZ Sports Fan, or actually the AZ Sports Fan, Twitter/X, Instagram. I'm starting to kind of finally now get back into the groove of Instagram as well. And then, of course, YouTube. There's a TikTok floating around. I post something every once in a while. I don't really get too involved on there, but everywhere the AZ Sports Fan, you should be able to find me.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead and check him out. You hit 15,000, so you're on the road to 20K right now.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm actually really close to 16. I might be doing another giveaway here pretty soon, but under wraps right now.
Go ahead and check him out. Go ahead and get him to 16,000. I'm assuming you guys already subscribed, but if you're not, subscribe to me, subscribe to him. We post Arizona content, man. Go ahead, like, subscribe, follow. But with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video, man. Appreciate you for hopping on. It has been your boy, Mythic and Mike. Peace out.